The Narada Purana is a legal code for the soul, cataloging laws for every interaction. Appeasing deities requires a specific inventory, like bathing an idol in 5 liters of milk, honey, and sesame seeds on the 12th day of Magha. The universe here operates on a strict transactional logic. Perfect compliance with these procedures yields a corresponding reward in the heavenly worlds. But the system is binary. For those who skip a fast or miss a ritual, the text details a taxonomy of punishments in the hells of Vetarani and Lalabhaksha, where sinners are fed cinders or stung by snakes for centuries. This framework presents the practitioner with a daunting checklist. A single mechanical error, one oversight in a complex ceremony, nullifies decades of effort and leads directly to the pits of the netherworld. Yet the text documents cases where this rigid bureaucracy fails to predict the outcome. It describes scholars who possessed encyclopedic knowledge of the Vedas, following every moral code to the letter, who still ended their lives in ruin. At the same time, we find the story of Malini, an outcast who lived a life of theft in the forest. He never studied the scriptures, but he spent his later years cleaning a deserted temple and repairing its crumbling walls. According to the Purana, he achieved the highest possible salvation. The decades of rigorous study that defined the scholars' lives provided them no protection, while the manual labor of a man who could not read the script allowed him to bypass the usual requirements for merit. If the universe is governed by a precise manual of ritual, what is the variable that allowed a common laborer to succeed where the masters of the law failed? The sage Sanat Kumara explains that the universe possesses a form of spiritual physics. He claims that without a fundamental force called shraddha, or faith, the human being faces inertia. Every ritual, donation, and penance in the text is inert machinery. The physical action has no momentum. It is a body without a pulse. The machinery only activates when powered by internal devotion. Faith is the light transforming physical motion into a spiritual result. This creates a rule of inversion. The most pious actions of an envious person are futile, while the menial jobs of a common worker, when done with faith, yield results that the text describes as everlasting. Without this inner spark, every religious or worldly action is rendered motionless. It is the difference between a living organism and a statue. The Purana illustrates this through King Bhagirath, who performed grueling penance in the high Himalayas for 60,000 years to bring the Ganges to earth. Despite his endurance, the physical strain of sitting in the freezing peaks for 60 millennia was insufficient to move the cosmos. The cosmic response only occurred when Bhagirath's internal state aligned with his external actions. His devotion eventually forced the heavens to open, proving that the scale of the physical effort mattered less than the intent behind it. The 60,000 years of endurance were merely the symptoms of his focus. It was the focus itself that compelled the river to descend. This concept reaches its peak during the Pralaya, the periodic apocalypse where the entire physical universe and all its laws dissolve into a dark, endless ocean. In this state, where there is no land to stand on and no temples to worship in, the sage Markandeya survives. He does not rely on magical armor or complex spells, which have been washed away with the rest of reality. He floats on a single banyan leaf, undisturbed by the destruction of the cosmos. His survival is sustained by his faith, which remains functional even when the physical world has ceased to exist. When every law of nature and ritual has been erased, faith remains as the only structure that can support a human life. This law scales down from the cosmic apocalypse to the people gathered on the riverbanks today. It turns the complexities of the Purana into a system accessible to anyone, regardless of their status. Because faith is the primary variable, salvation does not depend on royal wealth, an impossible lifespan, or the ability to recite every verse of the law perfectly. We often see the opposite of this principle in our own routines. The inertia of a body going through the motions of a job or a societal rule, while the mind remains detached. The Purana defines this as the state of the fallen, where the external conduct is present, but the internal life is absent. In this ancient system, Our actions are only as real as the conviction we bring to them. Faith is the vital spark that gives reality to human behavior, making it the defining force of our existence.